Hi Leos, how are you? So this is going to be your February reading, and before I get into the tarot portion of it, I'm going to give you a little bit of a breakdown of the Mercury retrograde that we're about to have in February. So it's going to start February 16th and it's going to go through March 9th. But as you know, it's never as simple as that. So there's a shadow phase to it too, which starts February 2nd. So a lot of the effects of the retrograde you will start feeling as soon as the February 2nd. This retrograde is happening in the sign of Pisces, and Pisces is a very sensitive but also very creative sign. So expect a lot of emotions bubbling up, or also maybe could be repressed as well, because like retrograde's kind of bringing up things from the past, bringing up from like things from that's kind of like built up. And no wonder that for you guys, for Leos, especially your rising, this is going to happen in the 8th house. The 8th house is the house of sex, money, taxes, death. So it's a very intense house to have a retrograde happening. And then what this tells me is that during the retrograde period, you guys are going to deal with some pretty intense things, be it that you're doing with your taxes and something's just not working out and you're missing a one document or something, so you have to refile. So really, or as if it's relationship, if it's a new relationship that you started, maybe like there's a little bit of a friction between in bed or between your wants and desires. So somehow you guys not aligning, you're not on the same page of what you want in terms of that. And for others, it's just like, it could be just as simple as just things from your subconscious really coming to the surface, and you becoming really intuitive during this time. So you're going to really feel things more intensely during the month of February, and especially during the retrograde. The other thing to mention is that there's going to be a square. So Moon is going to square the Mercury retrograde for a brief time. And what that means, it brings tensions between your mind and your heart, how you feel versus how you think, what's right, what's wrong, like all of those feelings will come to light. The other thing too, especially that if it deals with the 8th house, it might bring up some feelings of shame regarding sex, or being a sexual being, wanting certain things but not having the right circumstances to have all of those things. Meaning, you know, like if you're just started dating and then you hook up on the first night, things will bubble up for you. It's like, oh, was this like okay, or was this not okay? And so it's kind of almost like that shaming of your own self, of your own desires and wants might come up for you. So really pay attention to that, and really pay attention why is that coming up, because the retrograde is really a time to reevaluate and really reassess what we've been doing. Is this the right thing for us, or is there a way to change that, shift that, and gain a new perspective in order that for us to be a more wholesome person, in the sense of that more in tune and in alignment with who we really are as a person, with our values and our belief systems. So yeah, and this is going to be a really intense time for you. For some of you, might even bring up some really intense sexual encounters, so from the past even, or like maybe some on the negative, it might be some trauma from the past that this might bring up for you, or some past lovers that out of the blue will show up and like, hey, how you doing? Do you want to grab coffee or a drink or whatever? So before you say yes, just really think, is this good for you? Like, if it didn't work last time, how is this time different? Okay, so let's get into your reading, okay? So I'm going to pull a few cards for the first part of the month and the second part of the month. Yeah, I'm gonna start already. So the retrograde for you is no joke. So you're really like feeling some stuff come up from the past for you, past lovers, past interests, past traumas, past conflicts. And wow, you have stuff of 4 major arcana cards. That's huge. It's going to be a really big month for you. And And remember, like I said, with your intuition is gonna be really heightened because the eighth house also deals with intuition, and anything has to do with the occult, with the astrology, tarot, anything that has to do with like more of a non-traditional aspect, but really heightened intuition. I think that's what is really about. So we're gonna start the month with Six of Cups in reversed, the High Priestess, and the Temperance. What this tells me is that the Six of Cups usually, especially when it's in reverse, it really brings up stuff from the past, emotions, feelings, and like I said, repressed things. Something that you really put aside and kind of like, oh, I'm going to deal with that situation later if it ever arises. So it's almost, you never dealt with it fully, but now it's going to be like rear its head and they're like, oh, hello, do you remember me? Like, I'm still here. You haven't dealt with me. So this is where you're going to be asked to use a lot of intuition and really see how you feel, but also be patient and don't rush the healing process. Don't rush. Be balanced. Be really well balanced into with what your desires are, what your needs are, and what your responsibilities are. And I think this is going to be really helpful with the High Priestess here. She's going to really be there to help you and guide you through the process of like, were you giving too much? Were you not giving enough? Where it's time for you to step away and then take a step back and really focus on yourself, your self-nurturing, your self-healing, and then when it's a time to really address those situations that arise. So it's a very intuitive but also very healing time for you in the first, especially in the first part of the month, Leos. Now going in the second part of the month, you have the World in reversed with the Eight of Swords and the Page of Swords. And it's funny because it's like I think this is where that moon square Mercury comes up, because like the first part of the month, it seems like it's more like emotions and feelings and based on your heart. And then the second part, it's really more about like how you feel. So a lot of things like you will be addressing a lot of the things in the first part from your heart, versus the second part, I think you're going to be like, well, was that right? So that's when you're going to start questioning things from a very rational point of view, from a very logical perspective. And I think that's where like there's this chance of like you kind of being your own worst enemy, where it's like you putting yourself in a box, you putting yourself in these limits of like, oh, this should be this and this should be that. And I think actually Geminis might have got that, where it's like the shoulds and the coulds and then the woulds. So it's like it should be this, but it's not. So I think this is really going to be important for you to really kind of be mindful of that. Where do you put yourself in a limitation? And is this like self-driven limitation, or is it actually, do you have facts to prove that? Because more than likely with the Page of Swords here, it's more self-induced a negativity and self-induced limitation versus what the actual world is showing you. And having the World in reverse here, it's like, yes, this is that feeling of like things not just being right, not aligning fully and completely for you just yet, for you to move forward. And I think that's what that feeling of being trapped, feeling like limited, and feeling like a little bit of blocked in a certain aspect, be it in a relationship, be it in a job, be it in just like an overall feeling of being stuck and that things are just not moving forward for you. Now with these cards too, I think the advice would be that for you to really pay attention where that block is coming from, and really not giving into gossip, or like not give in into, especially to this Page of Swords. He's really tempted to like talk shit about things and about people, and but Leos, don't do that. Don't give in to that. Just kind of mind your own business this month, and don't like, whatever happens with other people, it's their own business, not your business. So mind your own business, because you have, believe me, you have more than plenty to deal with. And especially with the World and the reverse here at the end, I'm sorry, it was like this way. The World here, kind of like middle of the month, coming in, it really puts focus on you healing yourself, giving yourself enough time for processing things from an emotional point of view, and really go in and really think how you feel about things. Because then if you know how you feel, if you have an intuitive sensation, and really pay attention to where that is coming, like where is that intuition coming from, be it like as a something in your body's telling you, or maybe just like a little gut feeling or something. So pay attention to that, because like once you get into this mental block phase, this is where you really can lean into that intuition to help you guide you through the answers and find the answers that you need, because you will need a little bit of to put more effort into really looking for information, looking for answers, and for guidance too, because I feel like there's going to be a little confusion between how you feel, especially the things from the past that will come up for you. And I feel like this is very deep-rooted stuff that will really impact you in a more subtle way than you think. And you're going to feel like, oh, this is nothing. But then actually it is a lot bigger than you really imagined, like having the world here. So really deal with it. Don't just like brush it off. Just really deal with it and really, really, really assess and reassess. Because the 8th house is really, it's an intense, emotionally intense house. Brings up a lot of, like subconscious stuff for us. So I think this is what this is all about. But you're kind of your own worst enemy. So don't let your own insecurities and your own kind of shoulds and coulds block you and be in the way of you finding something that's nurturing for you and something that feels right for you. Okay, so let me pull one oracle card and see what the overall message for February is for you, Leos. I'm curious. It's a lot of thinking, a lot of healing. Really, it's a lot of healing for you that needs to be done this month. So let's see what the oracle has for you. Time for a nap. Yeah, this is no time for action for you. This is really a time to take a step back and really, and like I said, don't brush things like, oh, it's nothing, it's nothing. Kind of deal with them, like sit with them, and just like sit with it, sit with the feeling, sit with the intention, sit with the emotion of it, and see how that what that brings up for you. Because also, like with the 8 here, it's like you have help. It's like all of that, it's self-imposed. So it's just a matter of like you really seeing that. But only you can see that when you take time to rest and take time to heal, right? Healing for you is going to be a really big major theme for this month. So I'll leave it at that for you, Leos, and I hope you have some really awesome laid back time, and the retrograde will only bring some really good stuff for you, and I will see you in March. Bye.